Welcome to Editors Unplugged. Bhavatosh Singh joining our broadcast senior news editor. He was at Jantar Mantar. He has many tales to share today. Zakha, Jacob, our managing editor. Madhavdas, Krishna, senior executive editor with us. And let's start with what happened at Jantar Mantar. The protest, the attack on the police and the police crackdown. That is dominating discourse. It has also rocked parliament in more ways than one. So let's get started. Bhavatosh bhai, पहले तो आप बताइए हुआ क्या वहां पे why did the police have to use brute force?
Well, it started at least 2 or 3 days before 20th of July. Actually, when the commissioner of the Delhi Police was removed, most of us knew that something will happen. And as soon as commissioner was removed, a new person became the commissioner, and someone who had experience in intelligence bureau, at least 20 years of experience in intelligence bureau. That very evening, he took a meeting of senior officers, and as we all knew that the next day, that's on Saturday at around 6 or 7 a.m., Sonam Wangchuk was removed, and he was removed according to police in a very good operation. He was removed from there and then shifted to Safdarjung Hospital, and continuously there were messages and also announcements that were being made from there that there would be no gathering there, and their proposed march would be considered illegal. And they were also on social media platforms, and otherwise also Delhi police said that this gathering is illegal, and this Cockroach Janata Party's proposed march towards parliament will not be allowed. And as we all know that this was something that was told to everyone, and Cockroach Janata Party did not in a way adhere to it. And next day, that's on Monday, when we went to Parliament Street Police Station at around 7:30 or 7:45, it was raining a lot, and we can see that the build-up that was happening from Sunday was actually, the number of people was very huge. It was around 5,000 to 10,000, and the number of police personnel, though huge compared to Saturday and Sunday, it looked that it could not be managed, and there was also RF.
So you're saying the police, they were outnumbered.
Isn't that the irony? Let's go point by point, because there are many points to discuss here. Isn't that the irony? A career IB official and an intelligence failure of Delhi police. Why did they not get the mobilization? I think is a question that even opposition is asking. Where did that happen? Did they not either preempt that so many people would come despite the social media calls for Sansad Chalo? Did they not realize there's so many people coming through the ISBTs, through the trains? Because many people have come from outside of Delhi, not necessarily from Delhi itself. So where did that happen?
Well, as far as the build-up was concerned, as we all know that it was happening for past many days or even a month. This was not something that that happened abruptly. Avjit Dipke's call was around a month old, or at least 34 days old. And initially, the number of people actually dipped. And as soon as Sonam Wangchuk came there, the number of people was increasing, and it was increasing through social media. And
was this detention a catalyst then?
Yeah, the detention was a catalyst, and it, in fact, in a way, mobilized people to come there. And that morning, when most of the reporters came there, we all knew that something will happen. It was not a sudden build-up. The events from Saturday till Monday was one of the reasons why this incident happened. I think in many ways it was like a repeat or a deja vu of what happened on 21st, what happened on 26 January 2021, when there was another incident by Kisans or farmers of their call towards Red Fort. In a way, that was much bigger. The number of people were
but
much...
I want to, actually, it's good that you mentioned this, because we've covered Nirbhaya. Both of us were on the field when Nirbhaya protests happened in that same Vijay Chowk and that entire area. We've covered what has happened as far as the Red Fort protest is concerned and the farmer protest. You were, of course, there at Red Fort. This was the first time, at least in the heart of the national capital, in and around Parliament, near Rashtrapati Bhavan, etc., that there was such a huge mobilization on ground of protesters. The question is that in 14 years, if this is the single biggest protest, why did that happen, and what kind of crackdown happened? For instance, even Nirbhaya, ultimately they had to resort to lathi charge to remove the crowds out. But this time around, what made it different was it because of the overwhelming crowds and them being unable to crack down on it? Or was it that they waited a little bit and to take that action, and that allowed the crowds to swell up because if they have to resort to pellet guns or those shock batons, etc., to push back the crowds. Clearly, they realized that lathi and tear gas is not working. So, what happened in that context is a very big question.
See, whenever there is a protest in New Delhi, it is like protest always happens in New Delhi. It's not that this was the first time protest was happening. They always divide New Delhi, or particularly that area around Jantar Mantar, into zones. And zones are not limited to 1 or 2 zones. It is divided into 14 to 15 zones. And the number of police personnel were pretty adequate. In fact, there were at least 14 zones, and there were DCPs called in from all districts. See, we could even see DCPs from faraway districts, and you could see DCPs from specialized units.
In the morning itself?
In the morning at around 7:45.
So they knew that there is going to be something.
There would be something, and you could even see senior officials, and even you can see people from Cockroach Janata Party, and they also knew that politicians would also be coming there, and that it would be the first day of monsoon session, and that even VVIP movement would be there, and even judges would also be moving there. So they knew that offices would be open. Plus, it was raining. So there would be multiple factors playing around, and they shut down the metro, and this also created a problem because number of office goers were on the road. Then they started barricading that entire area. So there was a multiple factors that were working. So
so are you saying the curbs put in by the Delhi police led to the anger in public? Is that why people started attacking police?
Put a thought here that, I think part of the reason why the crowd swelled, and I don't think entirely they were, rented crowds, or I think a lot of the crowds were organic. Part of the reason why they swelled was the manner in which Wangchuk was taken away. I mean, early morning swoop in, covering a bed sheet. I mean, what are they trying to hide? I mean, there are 1,000 people there. Everybody has a mobile phone today. What exactly are you trying to hide by putting white bed sheets on top of this man who has been there on fast for the last 30 days? Everybody knows about it. I think part of the problem is also every issue can't be seen as a policing or a law and order problem, right? You have to approach, this is a political issue, right? The protest went on for 30 plus days. I mean, even the media gave it some amount of coverage, but it really blew up after Wangchuk got moved and obviously on 20th when the violence happened. But it also subsided the day after Pradhan resigned.
Yeah.
So to my mind, the whole lesson, if at all the government is willing to draw any lesson out of this, is this was a political issue, and a political problem has to be solved politically. You can't just send cops with, electric shock batons and pellet guns to solve a political problem.
But sir, I think Parliament was on first day of the monsoon session.
They've been saying it for a whole month.
That's okay, but
they've been saying for a whole month, Sansad Chalo, right? And like I said, within a week, the whole thing got dissipated. Pradhan resigned on Saturday. By Sunday, everybody had cleared out. So what is the moral of the story? The moral of the story
Sansad
is...
Chalo slogan is a symbolic slogan. It does
not
not
a symbolic
mean you
slogan. No.
march inside the parliament.
He was very clear about it. We are going to march to the parliament. I don't think Dipke or anybody from the CJP, took back from that position.
So when you say march to the parliament, where do you stop? The police put up barricades because they have a designated place, and you can only go till that point.
You're validating my point. The Sansad Chalo should have been stopped politically, not by barricades and batons.
No, but if the political forces, in this case the government, is not able to break ice, reach a compromise, the policemen have a job to do. It is their mandate, but security is there.
They took Wangchuk away.
Yeah.
He was in a government hospital. There were negotiations with Wangchuk. Wangchuk called off his fast. And yet these guys continued. So what is that?
On the other side of the road towards Raisina Road, where Priyank was standing, then that tear gas shell started. They started lobbing the tear gas shell, and then continuously, then it was completely free for all. And later on, then we saw that visuals of that additional DCP slapping a girl. And then later on, those visuals of pellet guns came, and then it was
also visuals of a cop being dragged,
that happened later in the evening on Monday, and then on Tuesday evening. Those things happened. Then because internet was shut.
How did the pellet gun come into the picture?
So it came. There were reports on Monday. Remember, there was internet shutdown also. It's not that we immediately got everything. So intermittent internet shutdown also led to a lot of problem. So most of the feeds we were sending either we had to go very far, or we had to go till OB, or we had to use some kind of lease line. So once we started getting the feeds from outside, also sourcing from open source, we started seeing these feeds. We have to check also whether these feeds are genuine or not. Then from open source, we got these feeds. And then to check these feeds with whether these pellet guns are correct or not. Then we came to know that pellet guns have been used. Then the visuals of the victims being admitted in hospital. Then Priyank interviewed the victim, where we got the MLC reports that pellet guns have been used. But the police started fact-checking everyone that they did not use the pellet gun. The problem was the fact that they didn't use the pellet gun, but it could have been the person who was using the pellet gun was the RF person. That's where Delhi police caught themselves in a bind.
And you broke that story with a GD entry. You broke that story.
Can I ask you, the decision to fire a pellet gun, like in the heart of the national capital, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, has never happened before. Certainly not in Delhi, certainly not in the heart of Lutyens' Delhi.
Nowhere in mainstream India. Nowhere in the mainland
India. Who takes that decision? I mean, does it go up to the commissioner? Does it go up higher than that? Or is it just a commandant who's standing on the street who takes that call? Okay, let's fire a pellet gun.
RF is a specialized unit that's generally deployed in these kinds of places. Even when the riots happened around 6 years back, they never used the pellet guns. Because Delhi has a commissionerate system, so generally these calls are taken by officers of the rank of ACP or ACP above. What happened was that on 22nd VRs, there was a deputy commandant who went to Parliament Street Police Station. He makes a GD entry, which is a general diary entry, saying that I got a call, I was given an order by a DCP rank officer to fire these weapons. He gives a list of electrical shells, non-electrical shells, and also 2 PPs, that is plastic pellets.
2 rounds, that is.
2 rounds. And he makes that entry, and because these entries are made, these were uploaded. And which shows that they have been used. RF has not yet denied this, and later on I think they will be making a submission before the Supreme Court on Monday. The problem where the entire controversy is that who gave the order. See, the authorization has to be done by the DCP, because it's a commissionerate system, or in other parts of the country it would be a executive magistrate. So it is ideally a senior officer who, because the RF would be reporting to him, or on its own RF would not be doing this.
But even the fact that RF, when they come out to do these law and order sort of situations, when they are pressed into service and riot situations, is the pellet gun something that is always carried? Because RF was there during Delhi riots, as you mentioned. They were also sent to the Singhu border when the farm protest happened. Do they normally carry the pellet gun? And who takes that conscious call to carry it even in a place like Delhi?
So we also accessed another document in which while they came here, they gave a list of documents that they have, in which it's mentioned that we have this bore of weapon, which is the pellet, which was only mentioning of the document weapons that they are carrying, where it's mentioned it is with them. As such, pellet is not a banned.
There is a protocol. That's what Supreme Court has told Yashovardhan Azad when he has gone there, saying that, see, there is a protocol, so you have to ask for the striking down of the rule itself, which allows for the use of pellet guns.
So there are
DCPs, there's been no official briefings. There's been no official statements except for those tweets denying the use of pellet guns and perhaps a few other fact checks saying don't do this. So how much of this problem has festered because of the lack of proper communication, where if the police, for instance, on day one had come out to say, look here, we are in control of the situation, the police can also give out a message which has a calming effect. Somewhere or the other, has the law and order situation, my question is, festered in your experience of having covered Delhi police for over 2.5 decades because of this inability to communicate properly what has happened?
And just adding to it before you answer, just one quick thing. If the police had to use pellet gun, आके बोल देते, the situation got out of hand. We had to use this because they've made a diary entry.
So first, answering his question, I think one of the reasons that this has happened is that times have changed. Commissioners are pretty now reticent. They don't speak to the media, and not even DCPs. They hold very minor briefings and everything. So they don't speak. At best, tweets are the only way in which they interact with media. And we expected them to brief on this entire thing. And they only uploaded 2 or 3 bytes on Twitter. That's it. And X, they did this, and then they started fact checking, and then they themselves got entangled in this, and then even that stopped. after that because people told them so much, and we all remember that the controversy that happened in which Delhi police fact checked the New Delhi district about food delivery and everything.
True.
So when people said that, are you fact checking New Delhi district police? Then
the traffic police and the district police had opposite tweets.
So when they closed their comments, and that's it, that happened, and then the controversy happened, and they stopped fact checking each other. So the other question that you asked as to why they use the pellet. See, the biggest problem with Delhi police, or for that matter any state police these days, is that they don't have a professional communication department. So they don't have it. Either it's because they don't hire anyone, or it could be because they prefer things to go on for a long time.
PRO to hota hai, Delhi police.
They have a PRO.
What does he do?
They have a PRO. They have a proper structure and everything. But somewhere
It's internally. What he's trying to say is that there's no external influence, training, professional management that has.
They have an entire structure. They have senior officers who
but it's their own internal officials who do.
Yeah, they have internal officials, and I think that could be the reason. But these kinds of incidents have happened after 6 years.
Okay, very quickly, because we don't have much time. Before we close this, you were there at Jantar Mantar. Tell us about the makeup of the crowd. Who are these people who,
I saw one Bhim Army guy. I was also there briefly outside Press Club.
were anti-social elements there because the Delhi police dossier.
And Bhavatosh can comment on this. I'll just add to this question. There were many political parties. We saw Sanjay Singh and some Aam Aadmi Party leaders there. In the previous days, we've seen Akhilesh, Dimple Yadav, etc. go there. How much of that crowd on day one and in subsequent days was actually political elements who were trying to perhaps make the matter a little more difficult for the police than it was with the CJP?
Beyond politics also, like, the delinquents, the rogue of the society.
So, in morning, it used to be, if we covered it from morning till night virtually, till over midnight also. The crowd used to be decent, like they used to come there, be part of the crowd and everything. But remember, the metro and everything used to be shut. Sometimes at least 16 to 20 stations used to be shut. It was generally post, I think, after sunset that the crowd used to change. Maybe for other reasons also. So the investigation is still going on. We can't say what will happen. It was only after that stone pelting used to happen. So after Tuesday, Wednesday, the incidents leading up to it completely changed. Our colleague Dev Kotak and even Shafali, they were also heckled. Heckling beaten up. Shafali was also heckled, beaten up. Dev Kotak was also beaten up. So there was this constant change. I think dynamics of the crowd and everything was very different.
Who are these people? Quickly.
So investigation is still going on. There is obviously a...
What was your sense?
There was a mix of everyone. It's not that only criminals came and they were parties. Remember, there was not 2,000... Even there were 2,000 criminals were there. There was also 30,000-40,000 others who were part of the crowd. So that could be around, 2%, 4%. So there were all kind of people who were there.
And a majority of the crowd, you think, were students?
Yeah.
Genuine organic.
Organic development of the crowd, but there was mix of criminals. They were the ones who were, assaulting a ACP rank officer, beating him.
No student would do.
Because they were there are officers who are still in ICU. Their nose is broken, their hands are broken, colleagues have been beaten up. No protester will attack a journalist like this.
On a lighter note, I think the students were very busy making reels and memes.
All of that is now a matter of investigation. The last word on this has yet to be spoken, viewers. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. The Supreme Court is weighing in on this, the war of versions. Let's leave it at that. See you next week.